CJ, you definitely are the Lone Ranger.
Yo, CJ, what are you drinking there, bro?
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water.
That's crazy. What brand?
It's a no name. We don't endorse, on here unless we're getting paid. So,
Mm,
Ah,
mm.
okay. Nice save, nice save. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
wait, what am
But
I saving?
huh?
What am I saving?
What are you saving?
Yeah.
I mean, only your reputation as a sober man. That's yeah, that's what you're maintaining at
See,
this point.
no, I wasn't going to that extreme. I'm not gonna out here flat out lie. I'm not a sober man, but I'm also not like an alleged alcoholic like Mehrdad, tried to make me out to be
Whoa,
last
whoa,
week. Like I'm
whoa! I
somewhere
said
in between.
allegedly. I said allegedly.
Okay, you tried to throw me under
Allegedly.
the bus with you, fam. I'm like, yo, don't call me one of those. I'm somewhere in between. I'm gonna get my lawyer on you just now.
Oh shit! Listen, bro. I drink green tea. I don't drink alcohol.
Mm. See that for those viewers at home under 18? Yeah, man, be like Mehrdad. Sip on your Lipton.
Sip on the Lipton from Drew Carden.
Yeah, from New Garden. Exactly.
Yo, Laurent.
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. Since the last pod, can you tell me what color jersey Drew Garden wear?
Bro, I don't even know. But I do know their crest is like it has like a green blue or something like that.
No, there's no green at all.
There's no green?
There is a
I
blue.
hold on. Okay.
I think we should enlighten the listeners for those who don't know, because I feel like we were going over this offline last week.
No, no, no. We
So,
recorded it.
oh, we recorded? Okay.
Yeah, it was at the
As
last
long as,
5 minutes
oh, it was, you're
when
right.
we were dying of laughter about Drew Carden.
I just remember it continuing like post recording, and we were like dying 10 times more. Holy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah, no, it's yellow, red, and blue.
hmm. So are you gonna
Yeah.
rock their jersey after Chelsea loses to them?
Why would I do that, bro?
You
You're
just
gonna you're gonna rock PSG's jersey if they beat Arsenal? Like, come on, no.
I
Mind you,
mean,
you have a PSG jersey?
do I have it? No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I have a Barcelona jersey. I have an AC Milan jersey.
Mm. Yeah,
Shout out
honestly,
AC Milan beating Inter.
yeah, and I'm surprised you're not wearing their jersey, bro. Like they're in the Copa Italia final.
I know, but
Uh-huh.
my jersey, I'm gonna hang it up. So you saw the man cave. It's going up with all my other jerseys. So
Mm. Yeah. No, for those of you who don't know, Mehrdad just got himself a new place. Congrats. Round of
thank you,
applause.
thank you.
big up,
It
big up.
looks yeah, no, it looks very nice. Very well done. My only complaint was the LeBron James jersey. Nah, man, we don't rock with that over here. I suggested a Jordan jersey, but he said he didn't have that.
Yeah, it's a
His own.
housewarming gift. It could be a little
Ah,
housewarming
yeah,
gift from
yeah,
Timu.
yeah.
It's gonna
Wait,
come. It's
wait,
gonna be like this big.
wait. Laurent, what's wrong with LeBron?
Bro, that's not the GOAT, bro. It's not the GOAT.
Well, I never said he's
Wow.
the GOAT. It's just my girl liked LeBron when she was younger, when she played ball. And
Yeah, no. I know you never said that, but it's like, you know
I
what I
said
mean?
that.
Huh?
Shit.
That he's the
I
GOAT?
said that.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's crazy, bro. Listen, that could be a whole podcast episode on its own on a different, podcasting channel, but
should we
True.
start a new channel
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
fucking like just a banter channel, just an hour of us just bantering each other.
Mm,
But hey, I
yeah.
got
Yo,
Scotty
LeBron.
Barnes up there now. He's uh he's the
We
face of the
can't see it,
franchise.
fam.
I can see it, bro.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. You
That's
guys
all
will
you
see
wanted
it when
to.
you come over for the Conference League final. We'll watch it on the projector, 120 inch.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Drew Carden versus Real Betis.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm actually down. Well, Actually, actually hella down.
Oh, fuck's sakes.
Yo, Drew Garden versus Real
Oh,
Betis, man.
man.
What's the other semifinal?
Uh, it's Real Betis and uh,
Should we say Laurent should be answering this one? It's his competition.
Real Betis and Fiorentina.
Oh, that's a decent game.
Yeah, but it's gonna be Betis that goes through. They
Is
fucking
they
sorry.
what?
No, I was gonna say they slapped up. I forgot who they were facing today, but they slapped them up 5-1.
Oh, Valladolid.
Yeah.
Valladolid. Mm.
So, um, well, listeners, welcome back as always. Joined by my brothers. I wouldn't even call them co-hosts. We're all family here. Laurent, the
Let's get
local
it.
resident, Chelsea Forest United, um, City fan,
Bro, don't why
Drew
you
Garden, the
don't
Drew
this
Garden.
no, I'm not a City fan, bro. That's
Uh, and then my brother from another mother, the true Arsenal fan, the TT, the fucking I don't fucking know, the alleged alcoholic.
Damn. See, it was good until it wasn't, bro. Holy.
Shit. Yo, you're
that's
drinking
cr-
Insane,
sparkling water, bro. It's okay, CJ. Okay, bro.
that's
facts, bro.
crazy.
Bro, listen. I'd rather be an alleged alcoholic than be a supporter of City. Okay, chill.
Jeez, I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I don't know if I
Wow.
agree with that.
You are used to supporting plastic clubs, so I mean, it's pretty consistent for you, I
Jeez.
guess.
Yeah, but
I
bro,
don't know.
even when you're alleged alcoholic, bro, that's you know what happens like once this channel gets big, bro, and then CJ gets all famous and whatnot, and then he's just walking down the street downtown Toronto, wherever he is, and yo, aren't you that alleged alcoholic, bro, on the Gunners Corner? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me get a picture. You know what I
I
mean?
I
Like,
don't think they're gonna call us by alleged alcoholics. I think they're gonna look
yeah,
at you and be like, "Wait, wait, wait! Aren't you the plastic club fan that never wears a jersey?" And then for
listen,
CJ, they're gonna
I
be
would,
like, "Aren't
I would.
you the guy that has 1,001 jerseys and every pod you wear a different jersey or Arsenal paraphernalia?" That's how they're gonna remember us. And for me, they're just gonna remember the guy who just fucking laughs obnoxiously into the mic.
Mm. Well, let's hope so, man. But shit, if you keep, like it's like almost like you're subliminal messaging. You know, like the big corporations, they always like come out with these advertisement, right? And it's just the subtle things. Every podcast, alleged alcoholic,
I
alleged
mean, the only
alcoholic.
subtle thing that I've been saying since day one is that you support every single club aside from your own.
I wouldn't go that far. But the day you catch me on a podcast, on a Chelsea podcast with a Inter Milan jersey, for example, right?
Hmm.
That's the day where I can actually accept that criticism, right? Right? When you catch me on a podcast that is Chelsea, like the Chelsea corner, whatever you want to call it, right? Or right? But then I'm wearing an Inter Milan jersey. At that point, okay, I would concede and be like, yeah, maybe I do support other clubs other than my own, right? But till then, I think it's fair to say that that I could be
CJ, I
that
think
one.
it's time to post the picture. I think it's time.
Which one? The United one or the other one?
I think we'll start. I think leading up to the PSG game, we'll post the Arsenal jersey with our predictions, just so that people can appreciate Mr. Piano repping the Arsenal. Because it's Tuesday against PSG, which we'll have that breakdown this later this week. But on that, Arsenal, not a great performance against Palace. Um, Starting with the positive, CJ, you know who I'm gonna tell you to give his plaudits. Say his name. Say the motherfucker's name. Yo, for real though, Jakob Kivior, that was an unreal header. Jokes aside, like that was a great header. He played well. He played well, and he's been playing well since coming in. And I think a lot of our fears have been set aside. He's been killing it. And Trossard, he's really pushing. You know the thing is with Trossard, every like 10, 15 games, he has like a stretch of 5 games where he's on absolute fire. You start him for a couple games, he's banging goals, and then all of a sudden something happens and he just dies. Um, And then just my last couple thoughts. Eberici Eze needs to be a target for Arsenal. Whether he's coming playing off the right, to being a backup for Saka, being a backup for Odegaard, playing as that left 8 instead of Rice. If we're gonna play Rice as a 6, he can even play on left wing. Like Eberechi needs to be a target because he is a dog. Like that finish, I don't think people understand how hard of a finish that was. The volley and falling it into the ground off the post and in. And Jean-Philippe Mateta. Like, I understand David Raya was off the line, but that finish was unreal. Bar down, unreal finish. That was an unreal finish. Um, we'll get into some of the other talking points, but what was your assessment, CJ? What did you think of the game?
This one is tough to call because let's be real, like in the back of everyone's mind, like we're all kind of looking forward to the PSG game. Like we're literally looking ahead. So everything in between has just been a roadblock, a hurdle, where it's just like, oh, let's just get this out of the way and keep it moving, you know? Like if the fans are thinking this way, obviously the players are thinking this way. And he'll never admit it, but Arteta will be thinking this way as well. He knows the Premier League is over, but he can't show that. Like he has to show that professionalism, which is why he was livid in his press conference yesterday. And I do genuinely believe he still wants to go and win these Premier League games. You know, he definitely does because that's just the kind of mentality he has. I'm frustrated with him that he's still overplaying some of these players that should be resting. Like why Rice and Martinelli played 90 minutes yesterday, I have no idea. But you know, yeah, he still wants to win games, I'm sure. But again, even everybody associated with the club at the moment, we all know where Arsenal's, where all the eggs are in this season for us at this moment in time. And let's be real. If this is how fine the margins are, this is something I wrote down to talk about today because fine margins, it's almost like this should be like a subheading in terms of like titles for our episode because fine margins is so much so that this could either be one of the best seasons we've ever experienced if we lift the Champions League, or it could be a shambles of a season if we don't win the Champions League. Because look at our Premier League campaign. And I understand recent results. Like we've drawn like I think 3 of the last 4, maybe stretching even beyond that. It's been an even worse record. I think we've won like maybe like, I don't know, like out of our last 9 games or so, like we have like a less than 50% win ratio almost. Like we've drawn a lot of games. We've drawn 13 games, which is only 1 less than Everton. So we only have 3 losses, but 13 draws is actually unacceptable for a team that's chasing a title. And like I said, we've checked out in terms of the Premier League for a good while now, including the players, right? Like they've known that this title is gone probably since that loss to West Ham at home. You know, and so, you know, for the recent draws and the recent lack of performances, you can put down to the fact that they've checked out. So, you know, it's hard to say that, oh, the 13 draws, you know, probably 3 or 4 of those were from the last few games where, like I said, the players have already checked out. But still, like over the span of the season, the course of the whole season, you have to look at the whole sample size as opposed to the last few months. And it's, again, all we see is 13 draws. And that's not good enough. Like, you know, you turn half of those into wins and you're still kind of in the mix in a title race, you know?
Well, think about it this way. Us, Manchester City, Forest, and Newcastle are all on 18 wins. Liverpool's on 24 wins, but everybody else, 18. Even if you change 3 of those results from draws to wins, we move up to 21 wins, right? That's 9 points. And there actually is a title race. It's like you said, fine margins. We've drawn 3 of our last 5. I think you've said it all season, and I know at the beginning of the season we were always talking about it. It's those fine margins with respect to not having that attacking firepower, right? Yes, Trossard's been on hot form, but even this game, last game, the game before that, there's so many chances, but we just don't have that like finisher. When Saka was away, same thing. We don't have that finisher. Like Jesus is not it. Marino's not it. I'm a Havertz truther, but he's not a clinical finisher. Like he's not like a Marmoush. He's not a Salah. He's not a Gakpo. I wouldn't even consider him being a Mateta. You know what I mean? Like those type of players are like looking for that one opportunity and they're gonna bang shoot, right? Yeah, I agree with you.
I,
I think.
I
I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say like just kind of capitalizing on the fine margins point. Here's where I'm at, and it's not just the Premier League. Like again, if you look at the Premier League record, obviously it's a shambles. And look, if we don't get our act together, there's only 4 games left, but there's some tough games in there. Like I looked at our next few games. The next few Premier League games is there's Bournemouth in there, there's Liverpool, and there's Newcastle. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can easily drop more points, you know. And so if we're not careful, we will even fall out of second place, which you can definitely see happening the more we keep drawing these games and the more realistic a Champions League final run looks. You can see us even neglecting Premier League games even more from here on out, especially with the other teams around us being decent teams that we're going to be playing in the next few games. So we can fall further behind and maybe lose second place because teams behind us are starting to kind of creep up. So you look at it like that. Our Premier League campaign has been piss poor, really, if you actually think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting knocked out of the FA Cup in the first round, getting embarrassed at home by United. And I say embarrassed, like it's not like they beat us 4-0 in regular time. They beat us in extra time. Sorry, they beat us on penalties, but they had 10 men. So for me, that's an embarrassing loss. You don't lose to United at home, one of your biggest rivals, when they were down to 10 men on PKs like that. So
Mm-hmm.
when you factor that in, we got embarrassed by Newcastle in the semifinals of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
So we've played Newcastle 3 times this season. We haven't scored 1 goal, and we've lost all 3 games. And so, like I said, including getting embarrassed by them in the Carabao Cup semifinals. Because let's be real, like the performance over the 2 legs against them in the Carabao Cup was shocking.
Terrible.
It was embarrassing,
Yeah.
right? So if we don't win a Champions League, this goes from all of a sudden what could have been to this is a shambles of a season because you finished way off of it in the race for the Premier League title. You lost in the first round at home to Man U. You get embarrassed in the semifinal against Newcastle, which I don't care what anybody says, we should be favorites because we're supposed to be in a better position at Newcastle at this moment in time. And then the Champions League is what it is. It's a nice run, but you don't win it in the end, which goes back to what we were talking about with when the 3 of us were having this discussion and Laurent was chiming in and all the things about it's either you win it or you don't. Forget this.
Yeah.
All the context in between. It's winners and losers. That's all it is at the end of the day. So if you don't win, you're the first loser. So that's how fine these margins are. Like I said, if he wins the Champions League this season, we do something that has never been done in Arsenal's history before, and all of a sudden, this is one of the best seasons ever.
Yeah.
Or you don't win it, and like I said, all the competitions that we've been in, including the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League, we've fallen by the wayside horribly. Haven't even come close in any of the competitions to win a trophy. So then you go this season again becomes trophyless. That's the fine margins that we're dealing with right now. So we need to be really careful. And Arteta and the club, there's a lot of pressure on them, especially the more we keep seeing these Premier League games. Yeah, Ipswich was good, but Ipswich is poor. Let's be real. The more we see these Premier League games and these draws, Palace 2-2, Everton draw 1-0 after leading, Brentford the same. What's making it even worse is that a lot of these draws and these drop points are coming after we've taken the lead. Yes. Embarrassing, scary stats of how many points we've dropped from leading positions. That's also something to take into consideration.
That's the biggest part, though. That's not even just to take into consideration. That's the biggest part that we're drawing games, not because like if you think about it, last year we were drawing games coming back, right? But this year we're drawing games when we're ahead, and for a team that has the best defensive record, or supposedly the best defensive team. Yes, I understand Gabriel's not there, but still the unit as a whole is solid. So the fact that we're drawing games like that, it's a little scary. Just on the positive, just trying to kind of sandwich it a little bit. Miles fucking Lewis Skelly. He is a dog. I truly, I was listening to Ian Wright podcast. Shout out Ian Wright. And they were talking about it, and I truly don't think that Lewis Skelly actually realizes what he's doing. Ian Wright was talking about it. He was saying, like, it's almost as though when you're young and naive and you're like doing something so good, but you don't actually comprehend like what's actually happening and like how good of a job you're doing. This man went into the Bernabeu. And like, I'm confident in saying he bullied Jude Bellingham. He bullied Rodrigo. He bullied them all over 2 legs. Yet he played for England. He scored his first goal. Yet, albeit not against a very good team, but that's still your international debut. You're playing against grown men. Like you're playing against like 25, 26 year olds who are in their prime, and albeit, yes, they may not be from strong nations, but these are fucking grown men. They know how to play. They've been playing before he was born. Like he's changed the game. And to be honest with you, and the other part to kind of piggyback on the Lewis Kelly thing is Andrea Berta apparently is in discussion with Thomas Partey to re-sign his contract
Yep.
because we know Jorginho's leaving. This may be a hot take, but I would almost, if Zubimendi doesn't happen, I really wouldn't care because I would love to see Lewis Skelly pushed up into that left eight and have. I know Rice can be there, but in a desperate situation when we have Mikel Merino as well, like I wouldn't mind having Lewis Skelly, right? Like I really want us to invest in our front line. I don't want us to waste money. I want us to get those two big forwards, right? Get a winger that can potentially play on both sides, or a left winger that keeps their head up. Because in that Palace game, like you saw Martinelli had a beautiful chance just to, you know, visit across the Saka and it would have been a tap in. But what did he do? His head's down. Like, dude, you don't like you're a professional football player. You don't need to be looking at the ball to make sure where it's going. You should know with the way that you're touching the ball, right? Um, and I want that striker. Like if we've already made 120 mil in the Champions League getting this far, that's 30 mil off what Newcastle wants for Isak. Now, is that something that would be financially smart for us to do? Maybe not. But he's a proven talent, and he's done it in the Premier League. Victor Gyökeres, Portuguese league. Look at Darwin Núñez. He had that one good year at Benfica when he tore up Liverpool, and Jurgen Klopp signed him, and he's been a bust ever since. Right? Um, but yeah, what's your take on Lewis Skelly? And Laurent, feel free to chime in. What's your guys' take on Lewis Skelly? Because I think he's arguably England's best left back right now.
I actually want to. I'm going to chime in, but actually, I'm curious to know Laurent's take on him first, because like we big him up a lot, and obviously there's that bias of like he's our boy, he's one of our own, he's from the academy, so like, we naturally might get carried away with overhyping him. I don't know, like from an outsider's perspective, Laurent, from like a neutral's perspective, or just a general fan of football, like what's your opinion on like Lewis Kelly? What do you think of him as like a young talent? Have you seen enough of him? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no. So from what I've seen from him thus far, I do agree in terms of on both ends, on the attack and on the defensive side of things. He's very solid. Mind you, I do believe that where he gets most of his praise is on the attack, right? Because obviously when you're in that position, the expectations are right that you meet your defensive duties, right? And that's pretty much that, right? But very few can then go on and provide right attacking options, which is really, especially for opponents, is a devastating thing, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
on one end, right, the guy's defending, and then on the next end, right, suddenly he's finding himself making a run into the midfield, creating, dangerous scenarios, right? So it's like you're adding an extra attacking piece for your team. So yeah, no, I've seen him. Um, he's made those runs. I don't know who I can compare it to, but essentially, right, like he's just carrying that ball forward. He's able to even his close control, right? In tight spaces, which yeah, it's like it's you don't really see that too often,
Mm-hmm.
right? In defensive players, and
Agreed.
yeah, and then it's essentially he puts his team in a better position when he moves the ball forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he's getting fouled, right? And then that allows his team to, move up a few lines, right, on the attacking end, get a set piece, right? And you can create something out of that. But yeah, I think for the opponent, definitely it's like a wild card, right? Something that I think opponents aren't expecting. And then when
Mm-hmm.
it happens in real time, right? It's like, oh shit, right? Like this kid is actually, he dribbled a few yards and now, so okay, someone close him down, and then you close him down. And what happens? You usually foul him, and then again, right? Like you've allowed your team to move up in a better position, right? So yeah, I do agree with that. But if you're saying the best, you said the best left back. Per
In no, best left back in England,
Oh, okay, okay,
like
okay.
England's team. Like
Oh,
we're
okay,
talking
okay, okay.
about Tino Livramento, Luke Shaw.
Right, right, right.
Right? Or
Okay.
not in the Prem. I'm talking about in
Mm,
England squad.
right, right, right. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like I would agree. But yeah, I think now it's just a matter of maturity, experience. As he has done some tackles, right, that have gone against
Hmm.
Arsenal, right? The infamous red cards and all of that. But all of that I think is gonna come with time, right? Once he grows into his own. So
Experience.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so I
I
agree.
actually, yeah, no, I think that's a really good take. I think one of the biggest things that we can say about him is I think mentality, like confidence and mentality can take anybody as far as they want to go. You know, that's all anything is about. And in life, that's a general life lesson. Like if you're confident and you believe in yourself, um, you can go as far as you want. You know, and I think that's one of his biggest attributes. And he's got many, mind you, because he's just a talent as a player. But his
Hmm.
mentality, bro, like the guy is just not fearless of anybody and anything. You know, like we saw that when he first came on at the Etihad, when Arteta had the faith to put him on at the Etihad when we drew that game 2-2 earlier in the season. You know, late in the game, he comes in, he's already rattling Holland, which led to the infamous, you know, who the fuck are you comment, and then obviously what followed after that. Like, you know, he came in as a nobody at that time, and he was still trying to rattle big players. You know, this guy's now gone to the Bernabeu and giving it to their fans. Like that's ballsy, bro. Like you're 18 years old and you're doing your thing. You're talking shit to Jude after the game. Like, it's just like, yo, the guy, he's built different. Like, not everybody has that sort of mentality, Like I said
Hmm.
to you, I don't know if I said it on the pod or in person when we watched the game last week, but 18 years old, like I look back at what I was doing at 18 years old, bro. I was turning up at Frosh Week. Like, this guy's at 18 balling out in the Bernabeu. Like, bro, what the hell? What's going on? Like
Yeah,
shit, bro. He's a,
it's
he's an
crazy.
idol for young ballers to look up to. He's definitely
Hmm.
for young players. Like that's a good omen for you to look up to and say, yo, it doesn't matter how old you are. Sometimes, like if you're good enough, you're old enough. They say, and
Yep.
even in this game, this transitions me nicely actually, because even in this game, I didn't watch all of the game, mind you, but I got a good glimpse of some key highlights, and he was even giving it to Mateta and putting his body on the line against Mateta and bodying him off the ball a little bit. It just goes to show his strength as well. Like that guy's a strong boy for 18. We've talked about this too, Mehrdad. Like we can't believe how strong the guy is for 18 years old. You know,
Hmm.
and he'll put his body on the line physically against the most physical players like the Matetas of the world and whatnot. Um,
Yep.
but anyways, that leads me on nicely to what I wanted to bring up to you guys. Let's talk about. Can we talk about the goals that Arsenal conceded in this game? And I'm going to touch on one key player. I want to know if you guys are going to guess who I'm going to speak about. But I think it's more important. Well, both goals we can talk about because they were both poor from a defensive perspective. But um, the second one, especially, I'd rather start there because there's a
You
couple
can
things wrong I find
can
with
I
this goal.
guess? Can I guess who the player is? I'm surprised.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't even like write this guy his name in our show notes today. But
We should have. Yeah,
Saliba, bro, right? Is that what we were talking about?
we were going to talk about him, but no, that's not who I was going to
Oh,
talk
that's not what
about.
you're talking about? Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Trossard.
Yeah, no.
Odegaard.
I'm going to talk about yes, a more concerning player, guys. Everyone's talking about Saliba and he's now made two mistakes in the last three games. And listen, guys, like I'm not worried about Saliba long term. Like I hear all these fans now talking. Fans are just so fickle, and we're all just so impulsive that we'll just say anything after. Like we go based on what we see. One game in isolation, and it's like okay, like people have made up their mind on this and on that, and Saliba, he's overrated and he's rubbish, and let's sell him to Madrid. Let's cash in from that. Like, are you guys mad? Like the day that this guy leaves, the club, I'm not gonna say falls apart, but bro, like we have to rebuild our back line essentially. Like anybody calling for his head right now is that's just nonsense. Like he's
Hmm.
gonna be perfectly fine. I'm not worried about Saliba. He's fallen into the trap that most of the team has fallen into at this moment in time, and a bit of complacency. Like this
Yeah.
game against Palace, it was it was a nothing game. The atmosphere even told you everything you needed to know. Like the fans were not for this game. It was quiet. It was dead. Like listen, we're not worried about Saliba. Yes, there's a lapse of concentration, and yes, there was even a lapse in concentration against Real Madrid. But we need this guy. Don't get it twisted. This guy,
Yeah.
he's world class. I stand on it. people are saying, oh, he doesn't look the same without Gabriel. Like it has nothing to do with it either. Like the mistakes that he made in these last two games, like whether Gabriel's there or not, that's just individual error on Saliba's part, and he does need to fix up. That's not a problem. That's not a concern for me, and he'll be fine. He's too good of a player. He's too smart of a player. He'll be fine. Odegaard is the player that we need to talk about, because now this is getting concerning. Like, we've just finished talking about strength and the way Miles Lewis-Skelly isn't afraid to put his body on the line. These are the kind of players that you want as your captain. And again, we're going back to the days of the old school captains, of the Roy Keanes, of the Patrick Vieiras, the vocal captains, the aggressive captains, the ones that'll put their Tony Adams, the ones that'll put their body, John Terry's, like the ones that'll put their bodies on the line physically. They're not afraid of anybody. They'll have it with anybody. They'll war with anybody. Odegaard is the guy that you don't want your daughter dating, because he'll run off at the bar if some dude is talking to your girl, to his girl. He'll run off and you know what I mean. He'll run off and leave the bar, bro. He doesn't want any smoke, Odegaard. If you, this sounds like a joke, but I'm being so serious. If you guys actually even watch the Real Madrid game, even like there was times in that first half, Mehrdad, where Odegaard gets the ball and he looks like this is times when we were breaking from our defense into attack, and we didn't really have much offensive outlets. So against Real Madrid in the first half, especially, like when we win the ball, Odegaard is one of the outlets on that right wing. Odegaard, as soon as he gets the ball, he's dribbling with it for maybe like 1 or 2 seconds. All of a sudden, he sees a Real Madrid player running at him like a Chouameni. It's almost like that, like I'm coming. Like you feel him breathing down your neck, and Odegaard doesn't want any smoke. Like he was so quick to get rid of the ball on a couple of occasions. I don't know if you remember it, Mehrdad. And he got rid of the ball, and you remember me fuming because he could have just kept running with the ball, but he just gave it up quickly because he doesn't want any of that smoke. He doesn't want to get crunched. And I'm like, bro, stop.
Bro, Sabrina Carpenter doesn't want none of that. Come on,
bro. Clearly, man. Like this guy needs to go on stage, man. Go on tour or something. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Yeah, go on.
The only reason why I like from if I'm using my clinical brain, when I practiced in a clinic setting, the only thing that I can think of that's causing this is the fact that his injury was more severe than was initially let on, and I wouldn't be surprised if once the season is over that he goes in for surgery, because he hasn't looked right.
No, bro, he hasn't. True.
And I know. And like it was the same thing with Tomiyasu, right? Like Tomiyasu was an injury that they were trying to address conservatively, and then it reached a point where they're like, you know what, let's get the surgery. I don't know if you remember the Emil Smith-Rowe's groin. It was the same thing. Arteta shut him down. They said it was a lingering thing, and they wanted to get the surgery so that he feels better. Jesus, when he had his first knee surgery, he went back in for a scope because there was something wrong, right? So I think that his ankle injury was actually worse than it was, and I think he's still lingering. Now, when you're on the field, do we care as fans? Is that even 100%? Am I reading into it? Am I making an excuse for him? Maybe, but I genuinely think there's something else. I don't think it has anything to do with the child, because I think that if it's something serious and if it's something big, you can always go sleep at the training grounds, right? They definitely have bedrooms there. They can definitely get him like a hotel. Like that's not an issue. But I think the injury is more serious than it was initially let on. And that's the only thing that I can point to for his poor form, because you can see that he's hesitant when like the tackle's about to come in, and you can see him like jumping out of tackles and not diving in. Because if you compare it to last year, he was going in for those 50-50s. Right, like he was willing to go, and I think he's just hesitant. And I don't know. Maybe that injury scared him, or if he has something lingering. Again, I may be making an excuse for him, but like I'm just playing devil's advocate. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, even the weakness, you may, of course, this might be something in that, because even the weakness in his shooting, he's not the same player in terms of his physical power on the ball either. When he shoots nowadays, like he looks. Mans are calling him pillow foot, bro. Like the man has no power in his shot. Like, every shot is rolling to the goalkeeper. Like, bro, put some man into your shot, fam. Respectfully, like, why is every shot either rolling to the keeper, rolling out wide? Like he used to put power on that ball, shoot from outside the 18, and it's going in bottom corner a couple seasons ago. Like, what has happened to the power in his shooting? And generally, he was never the strongest player, because even in the last couple of seasons, like. we were always praised him for what he did on the ball. He was never great off the ball. He would get shoved to the ground easily. You can body him. He doesn't. I still believe he doesn't want any of that smoke. Like he's not one of those players. When we talk about guys that are going to go to war for you, your Declan Rices, your Gabriel Magalhaes, like those are my captains. Like I said, those are the guys that I want in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see Odegaard in those beefs, in those scuffles with like a Rudiger and like those kind of guys. And so like even in this game, like when I'm just smirking to myself when he was there getting bodied by Mateta for that second goal. Like he just dropped, like he didn't want it, And I'm like, you see Miles Lewis Skelly, 18 years old, putting his body on the line physically against a Mateta. Odegaard didn't really want any of that smoke, And I'm just like, man, like until it's confirmed at the end of the season that he was playing through this injury, he had other insinuating circumstances going on. At this moment in time, I'm just gonna say what I see, and we're seeing what we see. If you're on the pitch and you're playing, that's how we're gonna judge you. So you better hope that the excuses of the injuries or whatever else you have going on can save you at the end of the season if it comes out. Otherwise, we're gonna judge what we see at the moment. Ben White has been playing through an injury all of last season and so on, and he still performed. So there's only so much of an excuse I'm gonna give that. But anyways, on that second goal, I mean, what do you guys? It was a shambles all around, from Saliba to Odegaard to Raya's positioning. I mean, Raya had a horrible game. Like guys are calling him Raya and nephew at this moment in time because he played drunk.
Hey, whoa, chill.
No shade on Raya and nephew, but
yeah, don't chill, my bro. Don't diss Ray. Do not diss Ray. Ray's got me through some harsh things, bro. Don't even. No, allegedly. But no, okay. On Raya's positioning, that's where he's told to play. That's the risk and reward for us because his positioning has saved us a lot, and his positioning has caused goals like this to happen. I think it's just a lapse in concentration by Saliba, and I think it's just because like these games don't really matter. I'm not worried at all about Saliba.
You're not looking too much into it.
Yeah, I don't really. It is what it is. Yeah, Raya didn't look right, but I think it's just. I think you said at the beginning of the pod, like everyone has an eye on the PSG game. The reason why Arteta went with a strong line is because we have 6 days before the game, right? I think he wants to get some, just some fluidity in their legs, and he probably gave them a day off after the game against Palace. And I think everyone was just looking forward to that rest. That's what I took away from the game because I watched the full 90 and I was like, they were waiting. They were just like, it was almost like they were like malingering. They were just like, eh. It was almost like a training ground routine. It wasn't, they weren't playing. Once they went up 2-1, they weren't playing anymore. They were just, making the passes, making the runs. And they're like, Palace won't score because they're thinking about the weekend FA Cup tie, But they didn't realize that, like, no, Palace, like, this is a huge game for them. Whether it doesn't mean anything to their Prem season, coming to the Emirates, getting a point, it's a huge game for them. I don't know if you guys know this. This is Crystal Palace at this point in the season. This is the most amount of points that they've ever had in their history. So they want to set a hit. They want to set a marker, right? Oliver Glasner wants to set a marker, whether or not Arsenal came out to play or not. They still want to set a marker for them. But Saliba, the goal, I'm not really looking into it much at all. Don't care. Congratulations, Liverpool. Sorry.
You guys don't think that it's important to despite these games aren't important, right? Blah 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 blah. But in terms of like the form, the mental, especially when you have a big game, a big semifinal coming up, you don't wanna, you get you can say okay, that's 2 mistakes in a season for the guy, but you're making these mistakes now where you're at the finish line as to something that could be season deciding for you guys and your success, right? Is this really the time where you guys want to, start?
Well, let's put into perspective. His first mistake against Real Madrid came when we were up 5-0 in the tie. Did the mistake cost us?
No, but funny enough, at the time when that goal came in, I think everyone noticed there was almost like a possibility for a shift in momentum. Right? You see what I'm saying? And it's funny enough, in those big games, that's all it takes, right? CJ referenced or used the term fine margins, right? Usually, man, it's, and I understand like where you guys are coming from, but I feel like, man, especially in terms of like, right, I guess where the club would like to head, it's you want to have that Man City mentality, bro. Like where it doesn't matter, right? We're looking to be perfect, perfect from 0 to 90. It is perfect execution, right? We don't want to, allow right these small errors to come in, and we kind of tolerate that, right? Because usually what happens is you tolerate these small mistakes, and then you become complacent in terms, right? Okay, yeah, well, we let the guy off, and then maybe he makes it the next game, right? In a game where it is very crucial, right? You don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Until he does it in a crucial moment of something that actually matters, I'm not gonna read into it too much. But I do agree with you that I still want, whether we continue in the Champions League or not,
Mhm.
after PSG, I still want them to go out there and try. Like this, like overall, the one takeaway for me is that they didn't take this game seriously, and I think it was a respect. It was a disrespect to all the fans that attended, and I think it was a disrespect to Palace, because we didn't show up for the game. Period.
Mm, mm,
Whether even though we went up 2-1, we didn't play.
mm,
So all in all, I think we should have done better, and I think we can do better. But am I worried about this mistake, the timing of it, and things like that? No, no. That's my honest answer. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think those are the conversations that the coaching staff are going to have with Saliba. They're going to have with Odegaard. They're going to have with Trossard. Um, the next couple of days before the PSG game, just kind of reminding them, like, look, these are the fine margins that we're talking about, right? Like, these are the moments where you have to be turned on. It's the 88th minute, whatever. Like, that's when the fatigue kicks in and lactic acid builds up, and that's when you actually have to be more focused. Not at the beginning of the game where the adrenaline pumping, you're fresh. It's the 88th minute, the 90th minute, 95th minute, right?
mm.
But yeah, all in all, I'm not worried. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe I'm excusing them, but I'm not concerned about that game at all.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Laurent. I was actually gonna actually ask you that yourself and like think from your perspective, like, would you call it complacency? Do you think that it's the wrong attitude? Like, because I do hear that, it's definitely something that, again, like I said, Arteta will know that and he'll think that because he was fuming in the press conference afterwards. So you know
Yeah.
that he wasn't happy about the result. Like he definitely has the standards of perfection. He would still have expected us to go out and win the game and not make those silly mistakes. He'll definitely be beating that drum to the players. I have no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an element of that. Like you're absolutely right. And this is not just against Saliba. Like the whole team didn't play well.
Mm.
The first goal as well, we switched off. Like how their best player and their most technical player is left open at the top of the 18-yard box on that corner kick.
Yo, I will.
Like that's the one player
You guys see
That
that?
was
that's the one
Odegaard.
player
That
you
was
don't
Like,
see.
Odegaard.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that
but
was
no, like
fucking Odegaard.
it's
Like,
like not even that game, but yo, I've seen that so many times in professional football games. How a player is left alone at the top, like you know what I
Mm.
mean? To me, I don't even understand that. Like, it's like such a crucial area where there has to always be, right, someone lingering in that position to just in case, right, there's a spill,
mhm.
that goes there, right? But yeah, no, like that guy, he had way too much time to even strike that ball. Even though he didn't hit it too cleanly, right, it bounced up, but yeah, way too much time. So yeah, I agree with CJ on that. Yeah.
And
Um,
that's their best and most technical player. Like if we do
Mm,
that against PSG and you're going to give what Dembele that time and space,
mm,
or like any of their forwards, like they'll do the
Vitinha,
exact same thing.
Barcola, Due. You saw what Due did. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
mm,
Nicholas
So at a
Jover is
time, you're
kind
right.
of
Like at that time, you're absolutely right. Like that's a corner kick routine. That's a time for you to probably practice your discipline on corner kicks. Okay, who
mm,
goes where? What's the setup? Let's
mm,
switch on. You should probably be using that as a time to not be complacent because it's so easy to fall into that trap on more important games. So I think there's you're spot on in bringing that up. I think the complacency factor is definitely a thing. This goes for the whole team.
right. But like usually, like in those scenarios, right? I swear it's your captain that's like, on
There
the
you go.
battlefield, leading the charge, reminding guys to like lock in, right? But yeah, if you're, like Odegaard currently is the guy in charge, right? Correct?
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, man. Do you guys feel like other aside from like, right, what we mentioned in terms of him, right, not looking to get right to get into challenges, his shots lately, but do you guys feel in terms of just the leadership, does he have the pedigree to right to be that guy in those crucial moments to remind his team to, and mind you, right, one of the rules of leadership is do not ask of or your team or the people you're leading, right? Something that you yourself cannot do. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's funny, right? Because if his teammates are noticing, yo, bro, like, right, why you're not going 100% in these challenges? Like, your shots are lacking, right? Like you're getting bodied off the ball. Yeah, you're asking us to, you know what I mean? Kind of like lock in, right? There's a disconnect there as well. So I don't know.
Well, that's exactly it, bro. Again, like he out of our whole starting 11, I would argue that he's our captain, but he's the most underperforming player in the starting 11 at this moment in time. In my opinion, even Marino up top is doing a job, and he's performing as a striker better than what Odegaard is doing. He's creating more. Heck, we went to the Bernabeu, and Marino, our false nine striker, is the one creating both chances for Saka and Martinelli's goals. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see Odegaard do more. I don't know when
Mhm.
it's not all about GA. It's not all about GA. But when's the last time Odegaard's had an assist? Like I haven't seen him. I mean, he got an assist against Palace, mind you, fair enough. But
Mm.
I don't see that consistency with him right now. He's the most
No.
underperforming player in our starting 11. And I would like to believe, here's the worrying sign for me. We're doing well, and we're in the Champions League semifinal, despite his poor form, not because of, you know what I mean? Like he's not helping us get there. He hasn't carried us there. We're carrying him, and that's our captain. And that's a concerning sign for me. How we're in a semifinal, even still, when one of our most creative and best players supposedly is underperforming, it goes to show volumes up for the rest of the team and how well they're doing to carry our captain who's in poor form. But like you said, who's going to listen to this guy at this moment in time? Because he's not playing well at all. The Bernabeu games and the games against Real Madrid have really shown me a lot, in terms of, like I go back to it, Declan Rice. There was clips about Declan Rice. There were clips were going around about Declan Rice saying, in the warm up before the players went onto the pitch, don't be scared, guys. Nothing to fear here in the Bernabeu. This was in the warm-ups before they even stepped foot on the pitch. Declan Rice is the one leading the charge, saying, "There's nothing to fear here, lads. Like, let's go, let's get it." Odegaard's quiet.
Mm.
He's not a vocal captain, and I get it. There's different forms of leadership, but Odegaard's form of leadership in the last couple of seasons has always been him doing it on the pitch, and he's not even doing it on the pitch. And he's also not vocal, and he's also not physical. So what are you giving us right now?
Mm. Damn.
On that note, let's shift gears. Let's shift gears for all the listeners, and just talk about something a little bit lighter. Um, Man City. Just a couple games throughout the week. Man City, they steal a late one from Villa. Mateus Nunes
Bro, I was actually
scored, I think.
cheesed. I was
Yeah,
pissed when I seen that goal. Oh
it
my
was
gosh,
like
bro.
95th minute, if I remember correctly.
Gosh.
Like it was crazy. But the one piece I just want to talk about this VAR.
Oh, for the PK?
Bravo. Yeah, yeah, because
Mm.
that was a clear and obvious mistake. And you don't see a lot of calls going against Man City. Um, but I'm actually impressed that it's in the Prem especially. I'm impressed that VAR came back and told the referee to look at that. Um, but yeah, Matthias Nunes, like City, and to me, I think with that win, I think City secure top four. I think they're locked. I don't think they're going to drop out of top five, I guess, because it's 5 spots this year. But damn, for Villa, that's tough. That's tough.
That was brutal, brutal. Did you guys see how that was conceded? And the reason why I'm even more discouraged, right, pissed off, is because that is an ex-Chelsea player. Um, yeah, in Dizazi, who allowed that to happen. Man, it's like in that position, first of all, you
Mhm.
know that the guy is a speedy winger, right?
Yeah.
Um, he shouldn't have gambled, right? He tried to take the ball off. Mind you, he was baited into doing just that. But no, I think he should have stepped back, right? Covered his positions just in case, right? And that I don't think Doku would even have that opportunity, right?
No,
But
no.
man,
Lapse in
that oh yeah,
concentration
yeah, that was brutal.
from one player to another team, your team, Nottingham Forest, baby. They uh
Uh,
they beat up on Nando's FC. For those of you who don't know who Nando's FC is, it's Spurs. Um, it was a terrible game for Spurs. 18th loss of the season. That's the
Wow.
worst. Like
I didn't
18.
even know that.
To put into perspective,
Are you
if
sure?
yes, bro, I'm looking at
18
the table.
losses?
18 losses.
Wait, what place are you in?
Ipswich, who's getting relegated, has 20. Leicester has 23, and Southampton has 26. Spurs have 18 losses. That
Hold on.
is
Oh my days.
crazy talk.
Holy shit.
18 losses.
Ah,
And you know what the most fucked up part about all this is? They're in a semi-final of a European Championship. Albeit it's Europa League, but they're in the semi-finals. So, same thing that you were saying, CJ, about Arsenal season. If Spurs win and they finish bottom of the table and they win Europa League,
they've had a
that's a
successful season.
that's no, not even a season. That's a success of a century for them. They're never touching another trophy after this. So, we're talking about the fine margins for us, but for Spurs, it's even more so. 18 losses. Like that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
Wow,
But
even United have 15 losses. Sorry, I just
yeah,
wanted to add that in there. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. And Forest, I mean, a great victory for them. They're sitting at 60 points right now. They're one up on Newcastle. They're three up on Chelsea and Villa on 57. So it looks like Laurent's men are going to make Champions League football next year, and it's a really good sign for Nuno Espirito Santos as well because he was asked prior to the game because he was a coach for Spurs and he was fired quite quickly, and it goes to show when you give a coach of that caliber a chance, that's what he performs. Um, and then switching gears to the rest of Europe, Laurent did talk about this team, my Italian team, AC Milan, uh, beating up on Inter 3-0 and 4-1 on aggregate to make it to the Coppa Italia final. Um, I know we were talking about it the last pod, like who do we want to face in the finals? But if we get there, either Inter or Barcelona, um, Inter pretty much had a full squad. They didn't, aside from Marcus Thuram, who was injured, and the Iranian striker Taremi came in to partner Martinez. They played a pretty strong team. So I pose it to you guys: like, do you think that's a good sign for Arsenal, a bad sign for Arsenal, that Inter can lose in such margin? Because the game that we lost to them, it was just on a poor penalty call. Like I don't think it was fair for us to get a loss when we face Inter in the portion of Champions League. So I don't know, CJ, what do you think? Do you think it's a good sign for us?
I was gonna say not to look too much into it, because maybe they're like us and they're like, oh well, our focus is on the Champions League and on even the La Liga, not La Liga, sorry, Serie A, because they're in first place there. They're going for is it the Scudetto, I think they call it,
Yep.
or their version of their Premier League crown, which is winning the Serie A. They're tight in the title race there with Napoli, both on 71 points in that league. Like, talk about a title race. Fuck the Premier League for a second. Like, fucking disappointed us all in terms of a title race and in terms of quality. Like, if you want to watch a proper title race at the moment, watch Serie A or even watch La Liga. Like, specifically the Serie A, that one is going down to the wire. Inter and Napoli both on 71. So Inter's banging in a title race. They're going strong in the Champions League with a real chance to win that. So would they have been bothered about losing this one to AC Milan? Yeah, they probably would have because, again, it's a trophy. They're close. They're in a semifinal. So they could be going for a treble. So this will bother them. But they could still do a double quite easily and two of the bigger prizes in the league and the Champions League. And I'm not looking too much into it. And just for that reason, it's like they're going to come harder in those two competitions, specifically in the Champions League, where it concerns us. We'll be fooled to think that. I saw some fans getting carried away online with, oh, this is why Inter, they aren't that good, and we have to win it all if we beat them and get past PSG. Like, we can win this. Like, yes, we can, but let's not get carried away. Like, these sides that we're playing against, they'll be thinking the same thing about us. And that's the beauty of the Champions League this time around. The fact that there is no Real Madrids or there's no Man Cities or even a Liverpool. Teams that have been deemed clear favorites in the past. We're talking about a Barca and an Inter team that haven't won it in how long? Barca hasn't won it for almost 10 years now. I think the MSN team was the last time they won. Inter hasn't won since I think it was 2000. They beat Bayern in a final close to 2008, 7 around them times, and then. Us and PSG, we haven't done it. So it's like this Champions League is so open for anybody. So everybody will be looking at each other thinking, oh, like, for example, like Inter or Barca, PSG could be looking at our result yesterday saying, oh, Arsenal isn't really that good. Look, they just dropped points against one of the lower half of the teams in their league, but they'd be stupid to think that too, because the mentality was going to be different. We're going to turn up different in the Champions League. And I think Inter will do the same. Like I'm not going to be fooled to think that a 3-0 scoreline yesterday and that loss is going to mean much. Like they'll turn up differently in the Champions League, just like the rest of the teams in the competition will. Inter still for me is still, a heavy contender, a heavy favorite, even one would say, when you look at especially with their tie against Barca with Lewandowski being injured and whatnot. So Inter is still looking really, really scary for me. I'm not looking too much into their loss. I don't know what you guys think, or Laurent, what you think, but
Yeah, no, I agree. I think at this point, you can tell that the season is winding down, right? Teams are getting fatigued. All that aside, right? Yeah, for a lot of these guys, right? It's like a marathon. You know what I mean? You kind of get closer to the finish line, and now that's really where nerves get tested, right? In their case, right? You're trying to win things on both fronts. The Copa Italia and then the Serie A, right? Yeah, no. So I think a lot of these players are tired mentally, right? So now to me, it's just a question of almost like when you get to like 90 to the extra time in a game, right? You can tell both teams, right? Like yeah, you trained for this, but now it's just so mental at this point, right?
It's all mental.
Yeah, it truly is all mental, right? So yeah, like CJ saying, right? Not looking too much into it, but like if I'm Arsenal and I'm seeing that is sorry, if I'm Barca, right, and I'm seeing how Inter perform, right, then okay, maybe I'm noticing, all right, they're mentally they're not there, right? So it's like I'm getting my players prepped, right, to really truly get 1 foot over the line now, right? Because we're talking, right, it's millimeters, right? It's like fine margins again, right? Yeah, no, but in terms of like seeing that game and thinking, yeah, they're falling off, no. But I do see that it could be a slight lapse in concentration, right? Maybe, there's a way to take advantage of that. So
that kind of leads us.
I think it goes to show.
Oh,
I'm sorry, quickly before you continue. I was just going to say really, really quickly. I think it goes to show, guys, how hard actually a treble is to do if you really think about it. Like you really have to praise teams that have won trebles in the past. I know, Laurent, you're not going to want to give any praise to this team, Man City. I know you don't like them at all, but you really got to show some of these teams respect, man. And like winning trebles is so hard to do, man. Like if you actually look at it, like Real Madrid would have wanted to do a treble this season. They're already out of the Champions League, and then it could do a domino effect on their performance in the Copa del Rey and even the La Liga. Inter, will see how this loss affects them as well, but they would have been looking to do a treble. Liverpool have tried to go for trebles and quadruples in the very recent past. Like it's not an easy feat to do, man. And you really got to give credit to teams that can do it. It's insane mentality. Just got still winning mentality. That's all it is.
On that, Barcelona first game without Lewandowski. They played Ferran Torres up top, and they were able to do it. And I know it was only Mallorca, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how that's gonna set them up for Inter.
I think Lewandowski is a massive loss for Barca for Inter.
I think it's a huge loss too. And even for Barcelona, the other part of it too is they're playing the Copa del Rey on Sunday. They play Wednesday, and I know there's still a few days for them in between the Copa del Rey final their game against the first leg against Inter. But that's not just like that's not a league game. You know what I mean? It's not a league game that you're playing someone mid-table. You're talking about a Copa del Rey final. You're talking about Real Madrid's last chance to sabotage Barcelona's season. It's going to be a physical game. And we saw what they tried to do to Arsenal. We saw what Rudiger, we saw what Valverde, we saw what Vinicius, we saw what they were trying to do to Arsenal players. So you can only imagine what they're going to do against their arch rival and arch nemesis, Barcelona. So if I'm a Barcelona player going to this Copa del Rey final on Sunday, I am scared because I don't know what type of Real Madrid we're going to get. I don't know if we're going to get a Real Madrid that's just going to play straight up and they just want to win it for Ancelotti, or we're going to get a Real Madrid team that if Barcelona goes up 2-3-0, they're going to try to injure someone. And I know I'm not trying to like say that that's what Real Madrid is going to do, but if they want to sabotage their rival's remaining season, what's the best way to do it? So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that. If I'm just saying, I would be nervous if I was a Barcelona player. I don't know if I would feel confidence.
No, I agree. Where yeah, I mean, there's history between those two clubs, right? You can compare it to some of the rivalries you see in the Premier League, right, between certain clubs. Obviously, right, we do know that Real Madrid, I think, did not win once against Barca.
This year?
Yeah, in terms of
Yeah, this year they
the
have.
right, and the times they lost, I think they pretty much got trashed, right? Like it was pretty bad. Um, so if I'm Real Madrid, yeah, like you're saying, man, I'm coming for blood. 100% I'm coming for blood. Um, that's without a doubt, right? You know, you've lost out in the Champions League, which is a competition that you're right, you're favored to win, that you're known to for winning. At this point, right, you're second in the La Liga, right? You're taking hits on all fronts at this point, right? I know egos are bruised, 100%, right?
Mhm.
That team's, mind you, with their theatrics at the beginning of the year, with Vinny not getting the Ballon d'Or, right? You see the type of shit they're pulling, right? You know,
Yeah,
not
bro.
showing up
So
to the
weird,
awards.
man.
Yeah, you can tell these are the kind of, right? That's that kind of team, right? So egos are 100% bruised. They're gonna come in on like that Pepe Ramos, right? Trying to injure
Mhm.
player, heck, injure Salah's shoulder. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they did that in the Champions League.
Sergio Ramos, yeah.
Yeah, but right, if I'm Barca, it's like yeah, I know that, but it's like yeah, we're going for battle, right? Like you gotta expect that. You see what I'm saying? You can't fear it 100%, right? Like that's like okay, Declan Rice telling you at the beginning of the game, right? There's nothing to fear, and you just gotta play your game. Right?
Mhm.
If they come for that, they come for that. You let the ref deal with it, right? In game time, and especially if you know, like, because I feel like the Barca team is just technically better overall for me, and as a whole, than the Real Madrid team currently, right? Like, I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
they're more fluid, right? Uh, so we kind of know we're the better team, especially this season, right? When you look at the context of things. So it's like there's nothing for me to worry about if I'm a Barca player, right? Just play our game.
Mm-hmm.
Play our game and yeah, let these guys, you know, do whatever, right? Like whatever they're gonna do, the dark arts, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, like they'll get a card, right? They'll do something to mess up their chances of winning the game, and then we go home with the right with the trophy at the end of the day. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried if I was Barca.
And lastly, um, Arsenal's uh, Arsenal's Champions League draw. PSG they drew with Nantes 1-1. Nantes sits in 14th place. And PSG also play tomorrow actually against Nice. Nice, I believe, is in fifth place. So they're gonna have a little bit less time for rest and recovery. Um, and they've already
Are they
won
going to
the.
go strong? Is that the question?
Sorry?
So are they going to go strong? Is the question?
I don't know if they're going to go strong, but they're in their invincible season. So I don't think that Luis Enrique is going to want to lose that invincible season. The game that they played the other day, they did have a rotated squad, and I can picture them having a rotated squad, but I also don't think that they're going to want to lose that invincible season. So if they go down early, I do think that they'll rotate some of their players in um, to keep that invincible season there.
Laurent, do you give PSG any credit for going invincible in the Liga?
No, that's why I kind of chuckled when you said that because I'm like
They've
Invincible.
never done it before, though. You're
Yeah,
chuckling, but they've never done it before.
no, understandable, right? But come on, let's be real, right?
Of course. But you think about it, they weren't able to do it with the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, and now they're able to do it with Barcola, Doué,
Mm.
Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia. So you got to give them some credit. Yeah, I understand it's the French league, but like,
I'll say this much
um,
though. If they pull that off and then win the Champions League, okay. All right, now
Hmm.
like you see what I'm saying? Now you're onto something.
Hmm.
Right, but
Agreed.
yeah, if you do that in your domestic league, right, which is not known to be the most challenging, right, year over year, and then you get knocked out in the Champions League, like yeah, bro, just keep
here's
quiet about
something that supports your argument, Laurent, and I
mm,
guess CJ. Second high scorer in the league. Get,
Mason Greenwood.
yeah.
Mm,
For real.
Mason Greenwood is the second highest goal scorer on Marseille at 18, and Canada's very own Jonathan David sitting on 16. So not a shot at Jonathan David, but more of a shot at Mason Greenwood. Man went from rape allegations allegedly to playing in Marseille and banging in 18 goals right behind Dembele. So, um, not saying that Mason Greenwood's a bad player, but he's never done that before in the Prem.
No, but I know like during his time at the Prem, he was a high prospect in terms of talent,
Mhm.
just pure talent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mind you, right? Whatever happened to him, it was bad timing. Um, yeah, I guess he didn't, right? Like it happened at a point where it's like usually it's a critical point in a player's career, right? You're given that opportunity. I don't know how high his performance was before that happened and he had to leave football. But people are saying that this is expected of him, like in terms of like how
Yeah.
he's playing now, right? Because he's a quality player. But yet again, it is League One, right? Who knows, man? Yeah, I think.
All right. Let's stop talking about this stupid league. Let's talk about a real league.
Mm,
The infamous return of the quiz. Um, CJ won the first quiz, even though Laurent thought that I was going to rig it and just make it all Arsenal related, which I did not, in fact. So Professor Mehrdad is back with another quiz. As always, quiz rules are whoever answers first gets the correct answer, they get the point. If you get the incorrect answer and the other person answers, they get the point. Um, Listeners at home, feel free to play along. It is not 10 questions. It ranges anything from Arsenal to Leicester City to Forest to just any Premier League team. So without further ado, first question. You guys ready?
Hmm.
All right.
ready?
What was the aggregate score when Arsenal eliminated PSV Eindhoven in the round of 16?
9-2?
Incorrect.
Damn.
So hold on. First game, y'all won 7-0, 7-1. 7-0, 7-1. It was something seven. And then I know they scored. So if you're not 9-2, I'm gonna go 9-3.
Yes, it was 9-3.
Let's get
Damn, we got
it.
another fan. Damn, welcome to the Arsenal Club.
Let's go.
Which club suffered the most defeats in a single Premier League season during the 2024-25 campaign?
Oh, which club?
Which club?
Ooh.
Wait, during which campaign? 2020.
This
For
one.
20, this one. We were literally just talking about it.
Oh, Leicester?
No, no, no. It's fuck. It's either Ipswich or Southampton. Oh my
It's
God.
Southampton. Southampton.
It is Southampton.
Okay, okay.
Damn, bro, we
These are, by the way,
literally
we
talked.
answer like quick fire, right? Like answer
Yeah,
like the first person to get it,
yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But like, we literally talked about it like 3 minutes ago, bro. You guys both got Alzheimer's. Jesus. Allegedly. I don't want fans coming, hey, Laurent, are you the Alzheimer's guy on the Gunner's Corner?
Don't kill me, bro. This guy's out here diagnosing like left and right.
Um, which player became the first Premier League player to score and assist in 8 different games in a single season? Which player,
Ever? First ever?
yes, became the first
No, no,
Premier League, first in Premier League history to score and assist in 8 different games within a single season?
Kevin De
bro,
Bruyne.
this got to be like a multiple choice or something because there's so many options to choose from.
Yeah, but
You
I'm
gotta
gonna
give us
say
like
Kevin De Bruyne.
Nope.
Jeez.
I mean, there's really only one answer for this. Okay, let me give you a hint. Let me narrow the players down. It's
Probably
top
Mo
6
Salah.
clubs.
Yeah, it's probably Mo
Yes,
Salah.
it was Mo Salah. It was Mo Salah.
that's a good one actually.
Which team achieved a 7-0 victory over Brighton Hove and Albion, marking the biggest win of the 2024-25 season?
Over Bright.
Over Brighton?
Yo, was
Man
this
City?
Nope.
Yeah, I swear it was Arsenal. No?
Liverpool.
Nope. Nope.
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Nope.
Oh, Nottingham Forest.
Hey, bro, how did you forget that, bro? That's your
Yo,
team.
yeah. Nottingham Forest. Yeah.
Big up.
Yeah.
Damn, Forest slapped Brighton 7-0.
Yeah, I just
That's-
remember that. Yeah.
Yep. This one, listen, whoever answers this first gets it. It's a very easy question. Who's the top scorer in the 2024-25 Premier
Mo
League
Salah.
season?
Salah.
Laurent.
What? No.
Bro, I said Mo Salah
Objection,
you-
bro.
you-
Flag
you
on the
said
play,
Salah.
fam. I
I
said
said,
Salah.
bro, I said the guy's first
Hold on,
and last name
hold
before
on,
you.
hold on.
Crazy,
Hold
bro.
on, VAR. Hold on.
That is
Bro,
actually
clear.
crazy.
Bro,
Wait. Hold on. Michael Oliver.
It's gonna take 10 minutes to decide, bro.
Hold on, Michael Oliver. Wait, you're connecting with Howard what? Oh, wait. Who do I give it to? Do I give it to the non-Arsenal fan? Oh, okay. VAR check. Laurent gets a point.
Hey, look at that.
We're gonna have to
Celebrating.
we're gonna have to abstain that one, and then when we finish watching the recording, watch it back after, and you'll realize who got the answer right. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait, what, bro? How do you still think you got the answer when I said the guy's first and last name
Sam,
before
I
you even said?
guarantee you, I said Salah before you even finished. Before Mehrdad even finished the question, and before you even finished saying it, I said it. But we'll look at the podcast afterwards on recording, post recording, and
Okay.
we'll get the
Okay.
answer.
Which team had the longest unbeaten run in the 2024-25 Premier League season?
Liverpool.
Yep.
Hmm.
I think it was like 12 games, if I'm not mistaken. Which club was relegated after failing to score 9 consecutive home matches, setting a Premier League record?
Leicester City.
Correct.
Was it this season? It was this season.
Yes,
right?
it was. Yep.
All right. Because the question wasn't that clear, but that's fine.
2, 4, 6. So CJ, you have to get the next 3 right to get a draw. I'll wait till you finish drinking. Okay. Just because, I don't want to give Lauren any advantage, See, I'm being a fair professor. Which player scored a hat trick of penalties in a single Premier League match during the 2024-25 season? Let me give you a hint. It is not a top 6 club player. That's my only hint.
In the
Scored a
same
hat
game?
trick
He's
of
a hat trick?
penalties.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Not top 6 teams.
As in not top 6 in the current standings, or
No,
not the
no.
traditional Big 6 clubs?
Yes, not the traditional Big 6.
Again, bro, there's got to
Oh,
be like some multiple choice or something, bro.
yo,
This
no,
guy
I think I
looking
know
around. This
this.
guy's doing homework, bro.
No, I'm just looking at the table. My bad, I can't even look at that. But because I'm trying to remember what the guy's name is.
Is it Chris Wood?
Nope.
Isaac?
Nope. He's a midfielder.
Marcus
Oh.
Rashford.
Nope. Rashford is a winger, my
Rashford is
friend.
not.
Yeah.
Cunha.
Nope. The team, the player is on a team that's currently on the Premier League table, sitting between seventh and 10th place. The teams that are in seventh and 10th place are Villa, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Brighton. So the player is a midfielder on one of those teams.
Asensio?
Nope.
Clivert.
Yes. Justin Clivert for Bournemouth. Good job. That was a fucking hard one.
Jeez, how do you know that, CJ?
I don't know if I'm as just knowledgeable. You get me?
Yo, can we see your screen, please?
Yeah,
Do you have
for real, bro.
ChatGPT pulled up?
Huh. That's crazy.
Oh, fuck. All right, CJ, you got two more to make it a draw.
Does that even include the Salah one, or are we
Bro,
still
you didn't get
abstaining
that.
that one
You didn't get that question.
until after the podcast?
You didn't get that question, bro. Like I don't.
All right.
They did the whole bro. They did the whole VR check, bro. You know what I mean? Like they did all of that.
Oh
The
my
guy even
God.
went to the.
Who was he speaking to? I
I
want to
was
know who he
speaking
was
to Michael
speaking
Oliver. And Michael Oliver called Howard Webb, and Howard Webb said, if he's an Arsenal fan, give it the other way. And I said, okay.
to. Yeah, that's the whole point is the corruption, isn't it?
It is.
Crazy.
Which young Arsenal player added the final goal in the 4-0 victory versus Ipswich Town?
In Yeri.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a left-footed shot in the box.
Yes.
Double deflection.
Yes, sir. Last question, Laurent. You got to get this, or CJ steals, and it's a
Steals
draw.
what? Oh,
It's a draw. Yeah, he steals the 3 points from you. Which Arsenal midfielder initially
Of course, it's an
criticized?
Arsenal fucking question, bro. Like, are you
Which
serious?
Arsenal? No, it's an easy question. Don't worry. Which Arsenal midfielder initially criticized for his signing became a key player by scoring 8 goals and providing 5 assists in the 2024
Mikel Merino.
Mikel Merino.
Oh, I can't make this up. They don't want you to win, man. They don't want you to win.
Fam, you
don't
apparently
want-
got that Mo Salah one, so I don't know what you're
They
saying.
don't want you to win. I fucking knew it, bro. It just had to be an Arsenal question, man. It's all good though. It's all good.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, the quiz leaderboard still says 1-0 CJ. Before we wrap it
It's a
up,
fucking disgrace, bro. It is a fucking.
no, whoa, we can't say disgrace. It's disgracia. Disgracia. You got to learn from Arteta. It's disgracia.
We actually said that?
Yeah, he said he didn't know that. Remember how last year he fucking ripped a VAR new one and PGMOL? He said it's a disgrace. And then his lawyers went and he said, oh, he doesn't understand English. He thought it meant disgracia in Spanish.
Oh.
Motherfucker knows English. Motherfucker grew up in Everton. Like, he knows English. All right. So since there's no Arsenal game in the weekend, I thought we continue our predictions leaderboard, but we switch it up with the Copa del Rey final predictions to see what you guys think. And remember, it can't go to penalties. So whatever score that you give, you can't say penalties. So
Wait,
Laurent's.
what? Do we see that again?
It can go to penalties, so it can go to extra time. So it can be a draw, but you can say it's a 2-2 draw, but Barcelona win on PKs, or it's a 3-2, but it's an overtime. It's an extra time. So just put in that caveat.
Wait, you're saying we can say that, or we can't?
We can.
No,
we
you
can.
You can.
Okay.
CAN can. Laurent, since you're at the bottom of the leaderboard for this,
it's crazy, bro. Funny enough, I was actually gonna creep up on the leaderboard if it wasn't for my Teta, yo.
It was, yes, I know, and I was very happy.
Yeah. Wait, you said 2-1, huh?
Yeah. Wait, you were happy?
I was happy that Mateta scored because I'm like, I don't want this motherfucker to be ahead of me.
Yo, I can't make this up. Why would you be happy, bro? Like, why?
Because the league doesn't matter. My banter matters more than the league. Chill, bro.
Yo, listen, I'm gonna take Andre's post whatever his name is stance, bro. I don't understand these fans, man. Like, why? Like,
anyways, quit your bullshit. You and your fucking conference league nonsense. Tell me what you think is gonna happen in Copa del Rey. Fucking Angie bullshit. The fuck?
Let's see. Yo, I think it's gonna be a wild game. So I'm gonna
Okay.
go.
Oh god, he's gonna come 6-6.
Nah, nah, nah. I'm gonna go 3-2 Real Madrid. 3-2.
In full time?
Yeah, full time. So even if it
Wow.
goes to like extra time, it's not going to PKs, but I'm going 3-2 Real Madrid.
Wait, okay. Are you saying full time or extra time? Because there's a difference.
Wait, but it shouldn't matter though, because it can end in extra time 3-2.
Yes, but that's
True.
exactly what I said. I said you have to say when you think the game's gonna end.
Wait, what, bro? That just makes it that much harder, bro.
I know it does, but that's a
Why?
caveat I
What?
gave. That's a caveat I gave, bro. We got to show the fans that we have ball knowledge.
Bro, yo, that's not at that point. That's not ball knowledge. Now you're just predicting shit, bro. Like you got a crystal ball or some shit. All right, hold
Okay,
on.
fine. So you're saying 3-2, no PK.
I'm saying it's not going to PKs, but I'm saying 3-2. So this could
Okay,
happen before, but I'm saying 3-2.
okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna say 2-2, Barcelona on PK.
Oh, so you're saying PKs.
I'm saying PKs.
So wait, what's the PK score?
3-1.
3-1?
Mm-hmm.
So wait, wait, so you're saying there's gonna wait, 3-1 for who on PKs?
Barcelona.
So you're saying there's a Real Madrid only one Real Madrid player is gonna score their PK, is what you're saying. Jeez,
Mm-hmm.
bro. Damn.
CJ.
Can you repeat yours one more time, Mehrdad? So you said it's going to be like I'm still trying to
2-2.
understand that.
It's going to
Okay.
be 2-2, but Barcelona's going to win the
Mhm.
game on PKs. And then Laurent asked me what I think is going to happen in PKs, and I said Barcelona's going to score 3, Madrid's going to score 1. That
Wait,
part
this is
doesn't
so
matter.
confusing. So like, what happens if it's 1-1, but then it goes to PKs and you still get the PK score right, 3-1? Like, do you
No,
get
no,
the
no,
point?
no. I'm
We need
not.
to
I'm not
settle
doing
this
it.
shit now because I
No,
don't
no,
want
I'm
it to come
not.
day of, and
No,
then
no, no,
man's
no.
like,
I'm
"Oh, I
not.
got
I'm
the
not.
PK score right, but it was zero
No, no,
zero
no. I'm
after
not doing
90
the
minutes."
PK score. No, no, I'm not doing the PK score. I'm just saying that Barcelona's going to win on PKs. The score is going to be 2-2. Barcelona's going to win on PKs. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and so I'm saying though, like, what happens if it's not 2-2, and then
I don't get the
like they do
point.
win on in PK? Okay, all right. So okay, so in order for us to get our points, essentially, we have to get the score
Correct
right.
score. Correct.
Essentially, okay. Wow. Um, all right. I'm gonna say, geez, did you factor in that Barca doesn't have Lewandowski though?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm, mm. This is the final.
Bro, I swear, Laurent, every single time we get to the predictions, it's almost like CJ is writing his SATs.
Bro, it's like for real. Someone cue
The
fucking
Jeopardy
Jeopardy.
music.
Yeah, for real.
Dun, 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 dun,
Man said shot clock violation. Holy.
dun. Oh shit. Okay, what say you, CJ?
Well. This is the final. So yeah, Barca can't rest, man. Um, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say this one is gonna go to PKs still. Yeah, this one's gonna go to PKs. Um, and then Barca edge it on PKs.
Yeah, but what's the score? What's the score going
So
to
what's the score
PKs?
on PKs?
No, what's the score going to PKs? Like I said, it's going to be 2-2
Mm,
after extra time, and Barca's going to win on PKs.
the score will be. I actually agree. I actually think the score is going to be 2-2.
Huh?
Yeah, I think the score is going to be 2-2. and then the winner on PKs.
Oh, you want to do that? Just to see who actually gets a point between us two?
Well, I can't just end it off by saying it's going to go to PKs, right? I have to say the winner. I'm getting confused about this whole fucking thing.
Wait, no, but did you not? But didn't you say Barcelona wins on PK?
I don't think I said that yet. I just said I think it's going to PKs. Yeah,
okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
so
So
who do
it's
you
going
think's
to
gonna win?
PKs. Going to PKs 2-2. Yeah, I think Barca will edge it. Actually, Real Madrid can't get lucky on PKs 2 seasons. Two tournaments in a row. So I think, I think Barca will edge it on PKs as well.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's a good prediction, like 2-2 in regular time, because both teams can see chances, man. Like, and are pretty open. So that's a pretty good scoreline. Sorry, Laurent, you said 3-2 Real Madrid in extra time?
I just said 3-2 overall, so it can either happens in the 90 or it happens in extra time, but it's gonna be 3-2.
Okay, but Real Madrid wins, right?
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Well, at least we all agree that there's going to be goals in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a goal fest. Those, usually even when they play, it's usually it's high scoring.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, on that bombshell, as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting us. Next pod that comes out, it's going to be the full PSG breakdown. Arsenal doesn't have a game this weekend, which actually bodes well so that we can actually spend probably I would say close to the entire pod, the next pod, breaking down the PSG game, predicted lineups, and what we predict as a score line. We will touch on some of the other European teams, most notably PSG, Inter, and Barcelona ahead of their ties. But we are going to spend a lot of time breaking down PSG and how we can potentially take one step closer to getting to the finals, since we haven't been there for many, many years. Yeah, I don't know. CJ, Laurent, you guys want to add in a couple words before we wrap it up?
Yeah, for me, the usual stuff, guys, is thank you again for just being here and being present with us. We enjoy what we're doing at the moment with these 2 episodes a week consistently. It's a big feat for us to, continue to be this consistent. So, yeah, man, thanks for your support as always. And yeah, like I keep saying, keep pushing us on for you Gooners out there, and even you haters out there. The Arsenal haters. Your hate alongs haven't been going so great at the moment. Y'all expected us to lose to Real Madrid, but we're still here. So yeah, man. Looking forward to the next round of the Champions League, and yeah, man. Arsenal fans and haters alike, everyone's going to be tuning into that one. Arsenal PSG semifinals. We'll be there. Can't wait. Next Tuesday. Lock in. Like and subscribe, people. Thank you very much.
All right, Laurent, take it away.
Sir. Yeah, no. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. It's been here with us since we first began. Much appreciated, right? Like I said, like I keep saying, every episode, can't do this without you guys, right? So your support means a lot.